Hi everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. So this is a tab that's been open for, I'm not sure how long, probably over a month. And it's one that's probably going to stay open for a long time because I keep finding stuff here. This is on archive.org. It's Wilfred Woodruff Journal Selections. And I like it whenever they have it in this format because it's really, really easy just to do Control F and then search for a word or a phrase or whatever. In this case, personage. And it quickly takes you to everywhere in this entire book where you find those words or phrases. And so the next thing that I found was this. It's an account of an appearance, a visitation of angels at the Kirtland Temple. I think I had heard about this before, but this is the first time that I found it myself. And then I also have another visitation that Wilfred Woodruff experienced, and so we'll go over that. Before we do, here's the Flood the Earth Challenge. I still have not updated it. It's been a busy week, and it's just, I try to do it little by little, but it's been so busy I can't even do that. So anyway, this is where we're at as of right now. 9,859 copies of the Book of Mormon that have been shared so far. We're trying to get to 10,000. For all I know, maybe we've already hit that once I update it, but keep sharing. Remember, the channel goal is to try to share at least 10. And then if you haven't joined already, all you have to do is share a copy of the Book of Mormon and then let me know about it in the comments or send me an email. And then make sure to include #flood. If it's an email, make sure to put #flood in the subject line of the email. You can share hard copies, or you can go to the Gospel Library app, go to Scriptures, and then there's a button to share the Book of Mormon app, which you can then text or email or send in a direct message on social media or however you want to send it. So it's really easy. Just do it and then let me know. Good job, everybody. Okay, so this first one that we're going to go over, we're looking at the Wilfred Woodruff papers because I always want to go to primary sources before I before I put something on my spreadsheet. I want to verify that it's legitimate, and you can find this in his Autobiography Volume 3. It's also in this journal entry from November 8th, 1857. I'm going to read the account from the autobiography because it's cleaned up a little bit more than from the raw journal entry, so it's just a little bit easier to read. And yeah, so let's go ahead and read this and then we'll look at the spreadsheet. Okay, Visions of Angels in the Temple of Kirtland, related by President Young, November 8th. In our prayer circle on this Sunday, President Young related the circumstance of the brethren seeing a circle of about 40 persons dressed in white robes and caps in the upper room of the Kirtland Temple, of the Temple Kirtland during the spring of 1835. Okay, so let's take a look at the spreadsheet really quick. So this is being told by Brigham Young. He says it was in the spring of 1835. The temple had not yet been dedicated, but I think that it was mostly probably built by that point. I'm actually wondering, I'll read the rest of it in just a minute, but I'm wondering if this is the same account as this one up here from the spring of 1836, which also involved Brigham Young and Truman O. Angell, which makes a little bit more sense, but I don't have a way to verify it. But so I'll have to figure that out. Maybe if you guys know any better, you can help me out with this. But in this account, it's saying it was spring of 1835, so before it was dedicated, and they're saying that it was happening on the upper floor of the Kirtland Temple. So they're looking through the windows from the outside of the temple, and the upper floor has these two windows in the back. If I remember right, these are the two windows that would be for Joseph Smith's office that he had in the temple, in the back room on the third floor. So I don't know if they saw the angels through these windows in the back. I don't know if it was from the side. Again, you can see it's kind of hard to see in those windows at the top on the third floor, but I guess it's not impossible. On the front of the temple, you have its iconic like oval window. So maybe they were seeing it through that window. I'm not sure. And then on the inside, I have this video that I took while we were taking the tour. This was the day of the eclipse, and we got to see the eclipse as you saw in that last picture. So here are the rooms in on the upper floor, the third floor of the Kirtland temple. So picture 40 angels in a circle. I don't really know if it would have happened in these rooms that I'm looking at right here. So if anything, maybe in that very front room, or maybe if I go back to this, maybe this room that we were going to, Joseph Smith's like office right here. So that would mean that they would have seen it from the back. That's my best guess. I have a hard time picturing them being able to see 40 angels in a circle from these windows, but okay. So let's continue with the account. Okay. So, okay. There was no person in the room at the time who was mortal, yet the room was filled with light, and many personages appeared clothed in white, and frequently went to the windows and looked out, so that the brethren in the streets could see them plainly. Now that's an interesting little detail. You can only imagine who would have been there. Maybe the original 12 apostles, maybe Adam, maybe Christ, God the Father. There's any number of people that could have been there. But it's interesting them like going to the windows and looking out like down onto the street while the people on the street are looking up at them. That must have been a really interesting experience. Okay, so Brother Young and Truman O. Angel stood together in the street and looked at them. W. Phelps says he saw them for 3 hours. They were visible by all the brethren present. So I don't know if that means there were others aside from those three, but we're talking about Brigham Young, right? Second president of the church, Truman O. Angel. And if you didn't know, or if you haven't seen my previous videos, he was the brother-in-law of Brigham Young, and he was the architect of the Salt Lake Temple, St. George, Utah Temple, and other significant buildings like the Lion House, Beehive House, and stuff like that. So Brigham Young's brother-in-law and architect of all those places. And then W. Phelps, it says here, he printed the first edition of the Book of Commandments, or in other words, Doctrine and Covenants, that became a standard work of the church, and wrote numerous hymns, some of which are included in the current version of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints hymnal. Okay. And you learn about him when you go to the Independence Visitor Center, because there's a story about him printing the original the manuscripts there. Okay, so we know that these three were there and watched this happen. Okay, let's go back. They were visible by all the brethren present. Brother Angel said they must have stood some 2 feet from the floor. So in other words, like floating in the air, which, is not uncommon for angels and personages, heavenly messengers. So they must have stood some 2 feet from the floor, as they were only the size of common men. They could not have been seen from the place where they stood, except it had been the head, and those personages appeared nearly down to the waist, as they looked out of the window with a front view. So that's an interesting observation. So it was apparent from what they saw that it's not that like they were giant angels or like really, really tall. It must have been because their proportions that they were off the floor, about 2 feet off the floor. Okay. So this is really interesting. I think I'd heard about this before, 40 angels in like a circle. Um, but I think that this might be the same account as this one over here. So let's just remind ourselves what this one said. So this one, I don't have an exact date, but it was after the dedication of the Kirtland Temple. And once again, you have Brigham Young and Truman O. Angell. In this case, they say they saw two personages, so that might be the key to let us know that it was a separate experience. But let's just read this one, and then you let me know what you think. Okay, so, okay. Before closing this writing, oh yeah, by the way, this is from the Autobiography of Truman O. Angell. You can find this in the church history catalog. Okay, before closing this writing, I desire to mention another important incident in connection with the Kirtland Temple. After building was dedicated, a few of us, some 6 or 8, having Patriarch Joseph Smith Sr. in company, went morning and evening to pray, entering at the west end of the temple and going clear through to the east end. Which, again, I think that's reverse because you can't enter in from the west end. But anyway, this we enjoyed very much. The stand being enclosed by curtains or veils made it quite by itself and a good place to pray, with none to molest. One evening, having been in the country, I was too late to enter with the brethren. The company would not emerge till quite dark. I had tried the door and knew they were at prayer. I felt out of place and went to my house, but soon came out and met Brother Brigham Young out a little inquiring for Oliver Cowdery. I said I had not seen him. We walked out toward the temple, approaching the building on the side which was used for Prophet Joseph Smith. Sorry. The side which was used for Prophet Joseph Smith and his counselors, a portion of the attic on the east, and being especially appropriated to their use. So again, I think he has the directions mixed up, but I'm pretty sure he's referring to this, the west side of the temple, the west side of the temple, and then you have these two windows up here. So my understanding is this is where they were at. They were somewhere like right here, where I'm standing. Okay, so in the said attic, and right over the stand where one brethren were praying in the hall below, were two windows in the gable end. So it's these two right here. These are the two gable windows. To help give light to his compartment or room. The windows being 12 or 14 feet apart and unusually high from the floor, being nearly 4 feet to the bottom of the lower sash. When about 10 rods distant, we looked up and saw two personages, one before each window, leaving and approaching each other like guards would do. This continued until quite dark. As they were walking back and forth, one turned his head to me for an instant, but while they walked to and fro, but a side view was visible. I have no doubt, but the house was guarded, as I had no other way to account for it. So, it sounds kind of similar in a way. You have Brigham Young, Truman O. Angell, but in this account, it's just the two of them, so you don't have W.W. Phelps. In this account, they only see the two angels, which are like pacing back and forth like guards between those two windows, and there's no mention of like white robes or caps or anything like that. So maybe they are separate accounts. So unless I find out otherwise, I guess I'll just treat them as two separate accounts. But let me know if you have any additional information or what you think in the comments below. Okay, and now we'll go to the second one that I found. We're looking at his journal, and this is the entry for October 18th, 1840, which was a Sunday. We met with the saints at Brother Corners 3 times. I think that's brother. At Brother Corners 3 times, read in the Book of Mormon, gave instruction, and broke bread unto them. We had a good time, though there was only about half a dozen present, and I felt the Spirit of God bear testimony that there would be a work in London. We retired to rest in good season, and I felt well in my mind, and slept until 12 at night. I awoke and meditated upon the things of God until near 3 o'clock. And while forming a determination to warn the people in London and to overcome the powers of darkness by the assistance of God, and here it is, a person appeared unto me, which I considered was the prince of darkness, or the devil. He made war with me and attempted to take my life. He caught me by the throat and choked me nearly to death. And then he crossed this out. I'm not sure why. You can see it up here. We're looking at this part right here. So I don't know. He crossed it out. I'm still going to read it though. It says, he wounded me in my forehead. I also wounded him in a number of places in the head. As he was about to and then that's the end of the part that was crossed out. And then it continues, as he was about to overcome me, I prayed to the Father in the name of Jesus for help. I then had power over him, and he left me, though much wounded. 3 personages dressed in white came to me and prayed with me, and I was immediately healed and delivered me from all my troubles. Okay, so we had already read another account just like this where Wilfred Woodruff was attacked. It has some other details. So let's take a look at that account really quick. I think that I'm pretty sure that this is the same account. I'm so sure that I'm just going to put it in the same cell. So now we have a date. Before, I wasn't sure. I thought it was either 1840 or 1841, but now we know that it's the 18th of October, 1840. And let's read that first account that I already had. Which this also has like another account for some other people, but just bear with me. Okay. I have had the administration of angels in my day and time, though I never prayed for an angel. I have had, in several instances, the administration of holy messengers. Some of you have read the history of the power of the devil in England when the fallen angels that are upon the earth made war upon Brother Kimball, Brother Hyde, Brother Fielding, and Brother Russell, who had all they could to do live in the midst of that kind of warfare. These evil spirits knocked down Brother Russell and Brother Hyde. They didn't Brother Kimball, but that power fell upon him. His eyes were opened. He saw the spirits before him, and he saw what kind of beings they were. They gnashed their teeth. They were mad. They wanted to destroy the lives of the brethren. These men held the priesthood. Brother Kimball held the keys of the priesthood so far as England was concerned. These spirits had not, therefore, the power to destroy him. Brother Kimball, Brother George A. Smith, and myself had a similar experience in London at a house. Now, here it is. I think this is the same thing. So Brother Kimball, Brother George A. Smith, and myself had a similar experience in London at a house where we were stopping. It seemed as if there were legions of spirits there. They sought our destruction, and on one occasion, after Brother Kimball had left us, these powers of darkness fell upon us to destroy our lives, and both Brother Smith and myself would have been killed. So that's just like the other thing that we just read. Would have been killed, apparently, had not 3 holy messengers come into the room and filled the room with light. They were dressed in temple clothing. They laid their hands upon our heads, and we were delivered, and that power was broken so far as we were concerned. Why did the Lord send these men to us? Because we could not have lived without it. And as a general thing, angels do not administer to anybody on the earth unless it is to preserve the lives of good men, or to bring the gospel, or perform a work that men cannot do themselves. We do not particularly need the administration of angels unless we are in a condition similar to that in which Brother Kimball, Brother Smith, and I were placed when we could not save our lives without them. And that's from the Discourses of Wilfred Woodruff, first edition, published 1946, pages 286 to 287. So you get a couple different details in both, but I think it is the same thing. So the adversary is real, you guys. I actually talked about this in Elders Quorum. I was giving a talk, or I was teaching a lesson, and I feel like the world, like the secular world, tries to get you to believe that there is no Satan, there are no spirits, good nor bad, and that everything comes down to, you know, the mechanics of your body and your brain and your physiology and psychology and stuff like that. And that's partially true. We do have the natural man that we have to contend with. So that's like one of our enemies, because the natural man is an enemy to God. So therefore the natural man, it's like evil inclinations are an enemy to us. But then we also do have actual adversaries that are trying to destroy us. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like they have much power to do what they've done to Wilfred Woodruff and others. Thankfully, that's not a common occurrence. I don't think. I've never experienced that myself. But they can tempt you. They can make you sick. They have some power. And so it's really important that we live righteously. It's really important that we go to the temple, because when we go to the temple, we come out with the protection of angels. And I think that sometimes it could be against some of these forces. And then, of course, we bless the lives of others when we go to the temple, and we bring our influence with us, which helps. We got to be careful with what we have in our homes, the entertainment that we consume, and the words that we use, and the jokes that we tell. And our homes should be like a spiritually sanitary place. Just like the temple, it should basically be a quarantine from the evil, the evil of this world, the sickness of evil. So when we don't make it a quarantine area, when we don't sanitize it, then you're left open to potential disease, temptation, and maybe even worse. I think we might be surprised after this life once we find out everything that's been going on and how much Satan and his followers have been successful with, how much influence they had that we maybe didn't realize. So we got to do our part to make sure that they don't have influence in our homes, that our homes are safe places. Okay. Oh, and then, so with that first account that we read, let's go to the bottom here. That's another one for the 1830s. So I'm keeping a tally by decade. The 1830s are still in the number 1 spot now with 24. And now I have a total of 66 accounts. And if I were to guess, I think that I'll get up into the hundreds when this is all said and done. I know that there's more out there. If you know of any other, visions, visitations, near-death experiences, things like that, dreams, where like a general authority, or if it's an account that's been recognized by the church, it's been recognized by a general authority, send it to me and we'll add it to this collection. And you can access this anytime. The link for my spreadsheets is in the description box below. The tab that we're looking at is this one right here: quotes, visions, and visitations. Okay. And it's best viewed on a laptop or PC so that you can double click on the cell, and then all the contents will pop out so you can read it and you can scroll through what's in that cell. Okay, that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.